Okay, one final example using Cheetah modifiers. This time I'm going to start with a cone from the primitives drop-down list. And I'm going to change the number of sections on the height of the cone to from 1 to about 30, and the reason is that I'm going to distort that quite a bit, and I'd like to pick up that distortion properly. So let's change the number of sections on the height, and the radius I'm going to make a little bit smaller. And let's just bring this down a bit so we can see what's going on better. Now I'm going to add two modifiers to this cone. The first one is going to be a bend modifier, and then I'm going to add a twist modifier. And what I'm going to do is animate changes not only in the height of the cone but also in some of the parameters of these modifiers. In fact, I'm going to make them unconstrained, which basically means that their effects will extend beyond the boundary that you can see in pink and blue there. Okay, let's do this animation. I'm going to make this about 4 seconds long, I think, this time. So I'm going to record each of these keyframes for each of these objects in turn, the cone itself, the primitive, and the two modifiers. Let's start with the cone. Again, switch my P icon on. And what I'm going to do is just record it as it is, in frame 0. The bend modifier, I'm going to leave the angle as it is in frame 0. And for the twist modifier, again, leave it untouched for frame 0. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the end frame at 4 seconds. This time I'm going to make the cone about, let's say, change the height to about 3. Okay, and I'm going to record that. For the bend modifier, I'm going to change the angle now to about 5 or so degrees. 6 degrees, let's say. And I'm going to record that. This is, don't forget, at the final frame, 4 seconds. And simply the twist modifier, well, let's take that up to, well, let's say 180. So let's record that. Okay, so I go back to the beginning of the timeline now and press play. You will see the animation. And it's a kind of a growing beanstalk. Perhaps we need a bit more imagination. You get the idea. So you can see the changing in the modifiers there in Cheetah. And again, all this is parametric geometry. There's no static set of polygons here. These are parameterized primitives and modifiers. And I'm going to keep it this way, but I still want to get that animation into Unity. And I'm going to do it the same way as I've done for the previous examples by getting my exporter script tool, my MDD exporter script, and exporting the appropriate animation to an MDD format. Let me first save this file. Let's call it plant. Okay, well this time I do have modifiers, so I do want my checkbox on, but again there's no transform involved here. I'm not translating it, I'm not rotating the object, I'm just changing some of the parameters of the modifiers. It is already 4 seconds long, so that's all I need to check in the tool options. Let's export that. And again I'm going to call it the same name as the jazz file, but with .mdd on the end. Okay, there we go. Let's get into Unity. Switch over to Unity. Now again, when we do the export, the MDD export, we get an OBJ object as well as the MDD data itself. And again, it's the OBJ file that we need to bring into Unity at this point, not the jazz file. Here it is. Let's take it from the prefab into the scene view to instantiate the object. Let's move that around a little bit, perhaps bring it forward. And why not make it a little bit bigger too. So there's our base OBJ object, our base mesh, and now we need to apply the MDD data to that. So again, we need to add the modifiers component, which which is the point cache component, to our plant object. There it is. Let's import its MDD file that we saved from Cheetah, plant.mdd. Now you can see this is pretty big now because there was quite a bit of geometry there. So let's open that, and I'll pause the video while it's mapping the vertices. It's going to take a little while, so I'll be back shortly. Okay, nearly done. And there we go. So to see the effect of applying that MDD data onto our mesh, we just need to make the changes again in the point cache component. The loop time here is the length of the animation. That was 4 seconds this time. And let's click on the animated checkbox. If we press play, we'll go to the game view, and we'll see our growing beanstalk in Unity. You'll note incidentally that the default loop mode in the point cache script is ping pong, which is why the animation is going backwards and forwards. And there we have it. Now notice that this is actually applied in memory in real time by this component. There's no animation component actually on the plant object. If you look at the inspector here, you can see that there's no animation clip there. This is not a canned animation. This is actually vertex displacement data applied in real time to the mesh. Now we could, of course, if I stop the game view there, we could of course make this an animation in Unity if we want to. At the moment it's got the checkbox animated on, so that when we press play that will happen. But we might want to actually control that animation in code, just like we would in another context. So if we take that off, we can actually create the animation very simply. In Unity you can animate pretty much any parameter of a component. And you can see if we look in the animation pane here, all the individual parameters for the point cache script are down here. So what we need to do is create an animation clip and animate the appropriate thing, namely the time. Well, let's just do that. Just for the sake of example, I'm going to create a new clip. Let's call it grow, new animation clip. You see these are now in bold. We need to add an F-curve for the time object. That's what we want to animate, so let's add that. Gives us a keyframe at time t equals 0, and then if we move along to 4 seconds, which is the length of the animation, and create another keyframe there, and put in the time value of 4, you can see that we've created the animation. If we just click that to record. And now, if I actually play this animation on the object, it will do what we just saw in the point cache script modifier where we applied it in memory. So I can actually now apply this animation clip, or add this animation clip just like it would any other animation clip, to the plant object. If I choose it, there it is, let's grow. So this is the default animation, which I've set to play automatically now in the animation component of the plant object. So I've switched off animated here, but instead I've got the actual animation, which is now a canned animation, added in the animation component of the object itself. So if I go into the game view by pressing play, what's happening now is that I'm animating this component according to the animation grow. And it will default to the appropriate loop time for that animation, which I think is probably once. So that's the way to get these mesh deformation animations out of Cheetah into Unity. The two-step process at the moment. We need to use the MDD exporter script from Cheetah, making sure we export the base OBJ file as well as the MDD data. And then in Unity, you need to acquire the modifiers package and add the point cache script component to your object, import your MDD file, and Bob's your uncle. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching.